All right. So, good afternoon, good morning, good evening. This is I'll name this segment later. GTG spits that grease, etc., etc., etc. Title's still in the works. Now, the title hasn't already given me away. I'd like to talk to you guys about DSP's ultimatum to Triple P, as I like to call him. You know what I'm saying? PPP, Kino Casino. And his constant razzing, which is what I thought this always was. It was just razzing. Just, you know, some joking around, some banter between two friends. Anyway, his constant berating and razzing of fucking Khet and her weight. Oh, first things first. If you let's look at it from DSP standpoint. Truth be told, what are you fighting for? You ain't let that man sit there and walk all over you, walk all over her, walk over anything and everything that you've ever done. He's mocked it. Why is it a problem now? Did she happen to sit there and hear a bit of it? You know what I'm saying? Is that what it was? Is she watching detractor content and she's seeing what, you know, she's seeing the clips of PPP saying this stuff and you just sitting there like a fucking lump on a fucking set of coal and shit, just taking it, laughing at it in some ways? Is that what that was? Or are you going to try to banter? Or did she see that you weren't willing to fight for her? Not only did you not have him stop, but you didn't even have a retort. You had no comeback whatsoever to try to defend her. Your wife, your soulmate. You know what I'm saying? Your mom, I mean, wife, mom, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Why is any of this an issue now? What's the problem about it now? You didn't care before? And why are you so bothered about what he says about her weight? You didn't mind taking shots at her weight when you were clowning Lol Cow Live when that first started up. You didn't mind taking subtle shots at her while you were trying to take shots at Boogie and fucking Wings of Redemption. So why is any of this an issue now? You're the one who went sat there and spent the last couple of years talking about how you're in better shape. You've lost a bunch of weight. You feel better than you've ever been. While she was sitting back there vegetating, putting all that weight on. She didn't step into the Snort Fort fat. That's not a thing. She gained that weight over time because of you. And that's why you have such a problem with it. And PPP knows that. PPP knows that. And you know that PPP knows that, and that's what bothers you. He's just pointing out the reality. What is it that you say? Oh, I'm not racist. I'm just observing what the situation is. Yada, 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 yada. Well, the observation, Phil, or you say that you're all about your observational comedy, right? You're not a comedian. You were never funny, but whatever. If you were, it was at your expense. You didn't mean to be funny. The reality is he's just pointing out something that you didn't mind pointing out with other people. You didn't mind pointing out Rich was fat or Boogie or Wings. So why do you have a problem because it's your wife? You're the one who brought her online. There are pictures of her being fat. So he has plenty to go off of. And then you never defended her. Whatever you said in private is whatever. You did confront him on that one Grill Phil segment somewhat recently. And you wanted an apology and he didn't give you one. He's like, I stand by what I said. She's fat. And you took it on the chin and you kept it moving. So I don't see why you have an ultimatum now. Unless you know that the Kino Casino PPP stimulus package is starting to run dry. Maybe that's what that is. But you didn't seem to go ahead. You didn't mind her getting shat on for the sake of business. So I don't understand what the problem is now. Now let's go to the PPP side of it. PPP can move the way he wants to move. DSP needs Triple P, not the other way around. So with that being said, if you're not willing to banter with PPP, if you're not willing to give him any comebacks or anything, and, you know, you're just willing to be there, you know, face down, ass up, he's just going to keep doing what he's doing. It is what it is. There's no incentive for PPP to stop, to be honest. Yeah, she's your wife, I guess, but you don't actually respect her as such. You don't treat her as such. And that's the reason why he targets her. Truth be told, Phil, and one could make the argument that he's trying to condition you, for good or bad, to either stand up for her or to ignore it. So when assholes like me say something, it doesn't bother you. Did you ever think of that? Of course you didn't. You always think in the short term, if you're ever thinking at all. You don't even think. You're just a reactionary little bitch. And PPP knows that. So he's trying to condition your ass. And how's he doing it? He's going at obvious weaknesses that people like myself would go for. So if you ain't gonna stand up and fight for nothing, then you shut the fuck up and take it. But see, instead of being mad at the problem, which would be people like me, you want to be mad at PPP. But that's weird though, because didn't you say that the whole concept, the whole point of the Grill Phil segment is he takes detractor memes and he essentially throws it at you and you either explain it away or you face it and then you just move on? So what's the difference? The difference might be is the fact that Khet's starting to hear that shit. Just because she doesn't use YouTube anymore doesn't mean that she doesn't still watch YouTube. We already know she does that. Just because she doesn't use her Instagram or her Twitter anymore, or X, whatever, doesn't mean that she still doesn't float around in there and shit. I think that's what happened. I think she started to hear about some of the shit that was going on in your lack of defense. As if you could defend yourself, what makes her think you could defend her? And she felt a certain type of way about it. But let's be honest, you're not built for that shit. You're not going to be able to stand up against PPP. And if you step away from him, yeah, you might get some short-term, engagement from or at least some contributions from your own audience, not from anybody outside of that. From your own audience, but that'll be fleeting. You're just bleeding the same idiots that you're bleeding already. And then what? You're going to do smart guys by yourself? Stop. You're not going to do smart guys by yourself. You don't care about wrestling. You don't have no passion for it. You're just riding off of PPP's passion. That's all it is. That's why he keeps bleeding your ass every week with that Grill Phil segment. That's his payoff. You get to take advantage of his love and dedication to the entertainment, sports entertainment, if you will, that is wrestling. And then he gets to grill your ass for about anywhere from 60 to 90 minutes. And that's the trade-off. Wasn't long ago when you said that you didn't even want to do the Grill Phil segment anymore. You didn't see the point in it. You didn't see the value in it. Even though you allegedly have thick skin. Now you're okay with the Grill Phil segment. Now you just want the wife to be off the table. But that don't work. She's on the menu no matter what. Unless you can give us a reason not to. And you can't do that. You really can't. You're not built for that. You know what I'm saying? The first quiff, the first jab, the first razzing of your wife, you should have immediately stood on business on that. But you didn't do it because you don't care. You don't give a fuck about Khet. She's a prop, a roommate, a beard, a shield. You're in a relationship of convenience. She's there to serve a purpose. She doesn't even do that anymore. The woman barely cooks, if she ever really did. She can't. Neither one of you idiots can run a washing machine. Apparently, neither one of you can run a vacuum cleaner. How many things has she broken, Phil, in that house, allegedly? Almost every major appliance that you've had in that house at one time or another, she's broken, allegedly, in some way, shape, or form. That's why you don't respect her. That's why you let people like PPP walk over her and you don't give a shit. And what happened probably was, outside of the fact that Khet herself came to you with the bullshit, is probably some of the people behind the scenes are like, yo, I'm not going to donate to you if you're going to just let this dude walk all over her. So it's funny that you got dents that are literally trying to stand up on business and saying, hey, we're probably not going to contribute or even show up if you don't start standing up for her. This is wrong. You live in the same house with this chick. This dude is just someone online. But the reality is that you live online. You don't really live with Khet. She just exists in your space occasionally. You don't have a real relationship. She's just someone there that was supposed to take care of you, and now you're taking care of her. She's become a deficit. And that's why you don't mind using her or taking jabs at her the way she did, or the way you do. There's a reason why you, allegedly, in air quotes, have actually lost weight, but yet she continues to pack on weight. And you're not trying to do anything to stop it. Which is ironic because when you were first vegetating, when you guys first got together, when you were the one at home vegetating and all fat, sloppy, and a mess, she was the one trying to better herself. And you put the kibosh on that shit super quick. Super duper quick. And what for? What was the benefit of doing it? If she was motivated to go to the gym and try to better herself, she may have been motivated to get herself a better job. Further her education. Anything and anything to improve herself. But alas, that's the problem, isn't it? You don't need her turning into another Pandalay. You went ahead and pulled her out of a bad situation with Subaru Man. She owes you. And you need to keep that bitch in a pocket so she don't sit there and run off like the other one did. That's why you fattened her up. That's why you got her all plump. Make her as unattractive as possible, as unappealing as possible. And kill whatever ambition that she may or may not have had. It was the safest bet for you. You don't think PPP don't see that? Because he don't call it out, he don't need to. But on a long enough timeline, he'd get to it. He's kind of already hinted at it. You're just kind of dull, so you don't actually get it. You miss out on certain stuff like that. That's the reality. There is no ultimatum. This ride stops if PPP wants it to stop. You might sit there and put it off to the side for a few weeks, maybe a month, but eventually you're going to go back. You also come to the realization that this isn't really growing, right? PPP is having his fun with it, this, that, and the third, but you're not actually breaking through or doing anything when it comes to the larger wrestling audience on YouTube or Twitch or online in general. Now, I can say with pretty good certainty, PPP's name is getting passed around in certain wrestling circles, but yours isn't. You're just a prop. That's all it is. You're not adding anything to the conversation. When one person is dominating over 70% of the conversation, what does that tell you? What does that tell anybody and everybody? That's the reality. So you can go ahead and talk that hot shit on your little fucking daily therapy session and get these dents thinking that, yeah, Phil's finally going to do the right thing. We can start giving him money again or whatever. The reality is PPP will just be smarter with how he disses her. That's all. He'll be smarter about it. It'll be far more clever. It'll be in a way that you'll only have to kind of smile and nod at because you really don't understand it. You don't get it. You wouldn't get the reference. He'll just move off that. Why not? It's the easiest way to do it. You're a fool, Phil. And PPP sees it. And PPP, when he's ready to run out of this shit, he will. And you'll be left holding the bag. And if I had to guess, it'll be a while until you take any shots at him because you're scared of him. You're scared of him. You're scared of Kino Casino. You're scared of their audience. You have nothing. Everything that you currently have now is because of PPP, and he knows it. Deep down, he owns you. And theoretically, he owns your wife, Roseanne's sweet ass too. And he'll play with you and toy with you until he's done. And then he'll discard you like a toy. Just like you do with some of the people in your own audience. And that's the reality of the situation. Anybody who believes otherwise, you just haven't been paying enough attention. That's all. There's no respect here. We're in the game of making content. And any man who would let his girlfriend or his wife be stepped on, is he really a man? Does he really deserve your respect? And maybe, just maybe, some people should question what took him so long to actually speak up in the first place. It clearly wasn't bothering him. So whatever the sudden change is, must have been initiated because of something that is directly affecting him. Something to think about. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening in. I very much appreciate it. And I'll catch you guys for the next one of these, whenever that may be. Hopefully sooner than later. I'll name this segment later, GTG spits that grease, etc, etc, etc. I'll catch you guys for the next one. And Phil, in closing, you've already failed at being the dutiful husband on multiple fronts. What's the point of trying now? What's the point in you trying to do the right thing? You can't. Even if you wanted to, you never be able to. You don't have the practice. So just sit down and take whatever PPP gives you. Like you've been doing. Take care of yourselves, people. Later.